I didn't work a single hour this week. Even as a new grad dental hygienist, I could have been making anywhere between 60 to 70 plus an hour as a temp or $60 to $65 somewhere permanent. But instead I made $0. Big old goose egg. And in Minneapolis, that's like leaving 2 grand on the table. But I'd rather have an empty bank account for 7 days than a compromised career. So here's why I'm saying no to guaranteed money to protect my career. About a month ago, I made the choice to quit as a temp dental hygienist. If you are behind and you want to hear that story, you can check that out here. But since that time, I've been on about 15 in-person interviews trying to find a new fit. I thought I had found the one, but there were some subtle signs that it was too good to be true. And I really should have paid attention to those, but I didn't. And we'll talk about that a different time. Today, I want to kind of get into a couple of the job offers that I said no to and why, and the final two that I'm deciding between. So there was this one office that I got a really great vibe from, and I think I would have really enjoyed working there. The doctor was great, the support staff was great, and it seemed like a place that I would really fit in. There were no 50-minute profis here. It was really communicated in the interview that the time that I needed to treat the patient and give them the care that they deserve would be given to me. I did not think that was going to be a problem. And even though they are a super far commute, like over 20 miles, half an hour, I really thought that I could fit in there. The only problem was that they advertised the position at a range of $50 to $60 an hour. And when it came time to negotiate, they wouldn't budge from $55 an hour, even though I told them verbally in my interview that I was comfortable in the mid to high 60s. And here in Minneapolis, the market is such that even as a new grad, $55 an hour, frankly, is being underpaid. And the fact that they wouldn't even meet the ceiling in their own offer was really disappointing. So unfortunately, I had to walk away. I don't base many dental hygiene positions on money, believe it or not. You know, I had this one friend who also temped, and she would like say, well, this office is paying 65 and this one's paying 70, or this one's paying 63 and this one's paying 65. And I never really got that. Like, I did have, like, my filter was set at $60 an hour, but if it was $60, $72, $85, it really didn't matter. I wasn't picking one office based on the rate. I was picking an office based on, did the reviews look good? Did they have the equipment that I need? Did they have an hour for pro fees? You know, things like that. When I'm there for 8 hours, $5 extra an hour is $40. So like, I'm not going to pick an office based on that. But negotiation is part of the job hunting process. And again, if their ceiling in their ad was $60 and they wouldn't budge from 55, not a single dollar, I knew that it was just something that I had to walk away from, which was really disappointing. I really did think it would have been a great opportunity, but the $55, I couldn't. Just like they couldn't budge from $55, I also couldn't budge from $55 not being enough. There was another office that I had an interview at that was super close to home. It was actually in the same building as an office that I had temped at many times before. They had all the equipment that I needed to do my job. I had a great interview with the office manager, the staff that I interacted with, the doctors that I met. Everybody was amazing, and I thought it would be a pretty good fit, but there were two big problems. The first problem was that I want to work 8 to 4. And in order to be fair, according to the office manager, their schedule was staggered. So I wouldn't be working the same hours every day. It would be 8 to 5, 2 days, and 7 to 4, 1 day. So not only would I be working an extra hour, I wouldn't even be working the same hours every day. And I'm really looking for something consistent. Like, I don't want to be thinking about, okay, today is the day I go in at 7 or today's the day I go in at 8. I really just want consistency. That's a big part of why I'm moving on from temping. I want something consistent that I can kind of count on. The reason that I was told that they do it this way is because in the past, some dental hygienists had said that it wasn't fair, that some people were working later or some people didn't have to work later. But what I'll tell you as a temp who has seen tens of offices, fairness is not really what I'm seeing. I'm seeing more of flexibility. I'm seeing some hygienists want to work 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. because they get to come in one less day a week. Or a hygienist wants to work 6 straight hours with no break, no lunch of any kind because they get to go home earlier. Or a hygienist works until lunch and then they are out for the rest of the day. And I've seen what has to be at this point hundreds of columns. It's just not like that. And I respect that that's the way they want to run their office, but it's not going to be a fit for me. But they were aware of the requirement for a 15-minute paid break within every 4 hours of work. But the office manager told me that their hygienist didn't want to be there 15 minutes late at the end of the day. So they have kind of just decided not to do that, kind of hand waved it away. I think that I could have negotiated, you know, hey, I'd like to take my 15-minute paid break and we can maybe shorten my lunch or do whatever. I think we could have come to an agreement, but ultimately the schedule wasn't going to work. I knew that having to go in, first of all, an extra hour every day, 9 hours instead of 8, and different times, I just knew it wasn't going to work. So that was another one that I unfortunately had to say no to. And it's kind of funny, both of those that I just mentioned, the doctor or the office manager has reached out to me after the fact. The first doctor, he basically said, we can't pay you what you want and also give you the amount of time you need to do what you need to do, which is fair. I don't have a problem that they have a ceiling. My problem is that you advertise the role at 50 to 60 and you were only willing to offer 55. If the ad had said that the highest was 55, I wouldn't have applied to that job because that's not where I want to be. If he had offered me 60, I probably would have accepted. Like, don't tell him. And then the other office, she just actually messaged me like last week saying, hey, I hope everything's going good with your new job. And if it's not, let me know. And I basically text messaged her back and told her what I just said. Like, I enjoyed meeting everybody. Everybody was great, but the schedule, it's not going to work for me. You don't know what you don't know. I had a recent comment on one of my videos saying that stability in a career is important because you get to see what's normal, but you really don't get to see what's normal. You get to see what's normal for that office. I bet everybody in that office, especially the people who've worked there for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, which a lot of them have, they probably think it's normal that you have a staggered schedule and everybody has one day that they work late. That's actually not normal. What's normal is that each hygienist, when they're getting hired, they negotiate for the schedule that works for them. To me, that's fair. I don't think that it's fair for me to have a schedule that doesn't work for me simply because the person who got hired before me hasn't negotiated the schedule they want. Like I said, in this market, there is a shortage of dental hygienists, so we don't have to act like we're lucky to have a job. We are able to keep looking and find the job that works for us. And that's the path I decided to take. I know myself, and what I know is I'm not gonna be able to do it if it's not right. After we move on from the good offices that just had little tiny things that weren't gonna work, we come to the things that are seriously concerning. For me, that would be anything with less than a 60-minute recall. I mean, we had one office that was saying that there was going to be a 30-minute prophy appointment, but I'll get to them in a second. The less egregious was the office who told me that their style was I could control my schedule and dictate how much time I needed for the appointment. So for example, I could have 90 minutes for a new patient or 60 minutes for a recall, but everybody there, or most everybody there, eventually does 60-minute new patients and 40-minute recalls. So I'm not really sure how we can have it both ways. Like, how am I dictating my own schedule and saying how much time I need for a patient if it's going to be expected of me to eventually have 60-minute new patients and 40-minute recalls? That was just a huge red flag to me, because I can tell you right now, a 40-minute recall is never going to be in my future. That's just not going to happen. So I'd be the only dental hygienist doing consistent 60-minute recalls. I mean, no, look, I don't go to work to make friends, but I also don't go to make enemies. And that's exactly what would happen if I was the only outlier doing 60-minute recalls. Because you're not going to settle into the team if you are, first of all, the new person and you have a special schedule. I think that there are some dental hygienists who think that they can provide thorough patient care in 40 minutes. I don't think I can. I'm never going to tell you what you can or cannot do because I don't know you, but I cannot do that. And maybe that office is full of hygienists who can do that. But if it's not, and if it has even one or two hygienists who don't think that 40 minutes is enough time, but they have decided to agree to that, or they've been pressured into that or whatever, and I'm holding at 60 minutes, I'm just never going to settle into the team. And that's going to be a situation where it's going to be okay for a little while, but it's not going to last. Because what offices obviously want to do by shortening the appointment by 10 minutes to a 50-minute recall or 20 minutes to a 40-minute recall is they want to fit more patients in your day, because they want you to produce more. That's their solution on how to produce more. So wherever the breakdown was going to happen between the other hygienist, office manager, whatever, it was going to come. And because that 40-minute recall was never going to happen, you can bet your bottom dollar that office that said 30-minute recalls or 30-minute prophies was never going to happen. What was going on at that office was that they didn't have a dental hygienist. The doctor was doing hygiene, which that's a whole nother. I have all these different stories for different videos, but the doctor doing dental hygiene, that's a different story for a different day, different video. But his solution was he was going to have the new patient in his column for exam and x-rays. Don't know about perio charting. Maybe, I assume yes, has to be. But then by the time they come to my chair, it would just be 30 minutes for the prophy. But what you have to understand is that 30 minutes for a prophy is not 30 minutes for a prophy. That's 30 minutes for seating the patient, I mean, I gotta at least look at the medical history. We don't have to maybe go over the whole thing because they just did it at the doctor's column. Medical history, oral health instructions, a pro fee, taking the patient up to the front, cleaning up my room, writing notes. It's simply not enough time. And as I said before, for me, it's a very obvious ethical issue. And it puts me in a position to where I have to compromise patient care, and I'm just not willing to do it. Because not only is the quality of care I'm able to give affected, I don't think it looks good for my professional integrity. I really don't. To agree to a 30-minute recall or a 30-minute pro fee, however you want to call it, I don't think it looks good professionally. And I think it puts me in a position where my dental hygiene license could be put at risk. A cheap office is the most expensive mistake a hygienist can make. So that one was really, really simple to walk away from. And lastly, the smallest red flag, or you might say the salmon colored flag, would be those offices that have outdated tech like phosphor plates. Phosphor plates are just gonna slow me down. First of all, because I've only done them one time. We worked at this rotation at this community dental office in the cities, and we used phosphor plates. You have to like go down the hall to a machine and feed them in the machine. And then there's offices that don't have a relief, or there was an office who said they had a relief, but it wasn't used for a standard pro fee. I aim to use a relief for every patient I have for a multitude of reasons: ergonomic, patient comfort, my comfort. And to have it explained to me that that would not kind of be the way things are done there, it's just like a vibe that I'm not willing to step into. Again, if you as a hygienist don't want to use a relief, that's your body. You get to do what you want. Your body, your choice. But I don't want to be looked at as the weird one for using a relief. And that's not going to stop me. If I get a job anywhere, I will be using a relief. I don't care if I'm the only one using it, I will be. But the way it was presented to me, like, we don't use that for a standard pro fee. It was like, okay, so this is going to be an issue. I just don't want to deal with it. I don't want anybody questioning me about the materials I need to do my job, because I just don't have the time for it. Like, you could just find somebody else to do it, frankly. So, those are not all 15 offices. Obviously, that's just a few. Some offices had a combination of those things, or one of those things, or whatever. One office, it was pretty good. It was close by. I think she even said that she paid for your dental hygiene license renewal, which is great. I have a line item in my YNAB for my hygiene license renewal. So my mind already went to, oh shoot, I can put that money towards something else. But she was kind of at $55 an hour. Side note, I've seen her repost the ad. She's now at $60 an hour. So it seems like she's understanding where the market's at. But it just wasn't a good fit. Sometimes when you sit down for an interview, you just get like a vibe, like the way that the interviewer is looking at you. It's like they look at you in a suspicious way. Have you ever felt like that? And it's like, why are you suspicious of me? Like, what's the problem? You posted a job. I meet the qualifications for the job. I reached out for an interview. You agreed to an interview. Like, why the suspicious look? It's so confusing. While I brought in $0 this week, all hope is not lost. I have money in YNAB sitting in categories that are not immediately needed right now, or are just frivolous, like my luxury nonsense category or my car repair category. I also have a fairly healthy emergency fund, which is likely going to come in clutch, paying rent next month, being that I have this whole week of no paycheck. But that's the thing about using YNAB. It kind of gave me the permission to have this $0 income week. Most people feel guilty not working, but this was really a calculated investment that I made to find the right permanent home. And I also, bonus, spent a lot of time working on my business this week, which if you've been following along, you know that I've been kind of letting fear hold me back, but I have set a date that I want to have everything launched. And so that I have that date, it's like, well, you have stuff that you need to do. So I've made a lot of progress on that as well. It really has been a week of not working in a way that's going to earn me immediate income, but still putting in work behind the scenes. And as always, I'm always looking for a way to make extra money or save money. And this week I had the time, because I wasn't working in a 30-minute pro fee factory, to reprice the cruises that I'm going on coming up here soon. And I'm saving over $500. I have $114, I think, coming back for the cruise this summer, and 400 something knocked off my balance for my cruise next year. So definitely that win was possible because not only was I not working in a position that wasn't right for me, but because I have YNAB and it shows me every dollar has a plan. And just because I have a plan for these dollars doesn't mean I have to stick with that plan. And I don't feel desperate to settle for something that's not the right fit. So that brings me to my final two choices, the two offices that I'm deciding between. We have one office that is less than 4 minutes away from my house. They have underground parking, all the newest tech, a Nomad X-ray system, AI integrations with perio charting, clinical notes, x-rays. I mean, they really seem to have it all. And I will say the biggest plus, the thing that impressed me the most, was in their ad. They said, and I quote, "Our practice values your time, offering a 15-minute paid break every 4 hours." When I saw that, I couldn't believe it, which is really sad that I got so excited or I was so incredulous to see that in an ad, but that's kind of where we are right now, to be honest. But the thing is, I've never actually worked there. So I have to do my due diligence and I have to do a working interview to see how things are in practice, how things really go. Office number 2, it's about 10 miles away, 20 minutes. And I have temped there twice and I enjoyed it thoroughly both times. The first time I temped there, it was kind of like to see if I would like to work there. And after I worked the first day, I was like, yeah, I would work here. I would. Me and the doctor, we could not come to an agreement on the amount of days that I wanted. I wanted 3 days. She was only offering 2, and that really wasn't enough. But after the first day I worked there, she reached out and was like, I can make 3 days work. And so we've kind of been trying to figure out how we can make it work. They are an amazing team, a small team, but she values our time as well as hygienists. The amount of time you need to treat your patient, she fully supports. For example, I think the first day I temped there, she said, "Oh, we have a guy coming in. He's a new patient here. He used to be with me when I was at a different office. He hasn't been to the dentist in a while. We have his x-rays. He probably needs SRP, so you're probably not going to do a cleaning today." And so to hear that from a doctor who basically said, we're going to get him in, we're going to do his exam, we're going to do his x-rays, but to say, hey, you're not expected to do a half-mouth SRP today. It felt really nice. And I that's why after she emailed me and said we can make 3 days work, I emailed her back and was like, okay, how can we make it work? I felt really like she values her employees and everybody in the office was amazing. I really enjoyed my time there. And I really do know that if that's where I end up, I would be happy there. Like I told you at the beginning, I was willing to drive 20 miles, half an hour away. So 10 miles, 20 minutes away, it won't be a problem. It's not about the office being down the street. Am I going to accept a position that I don't feel like it's going to be right for me? It's definitely not like that. It really just comes down to the working interview and how things feel in the day, which, spoiler alert, I just finished my shift a couple of hours ago today. So if you want to see how that goes, you know what to do. And really, I want to wrap this video up by saying that ultimately the reason that I'm here and the reason that I'm able to make the decision to not work all week and to invest time on finding the right office for me and to invest time in my business, which will be a second source of income since I will be working 3 days a week, which is part-time for a dental hygienist or part-time for anybody really. The reason I have this level of financial freedom, however small it might be, is honestly because I decided to start sharing my finances online. And the reason I keep sharing my finances online is because of you watching, you're subscribing, you're commenting, you're liking. If you're doing all 4, oh my God. But, back from doing 75 Hard Personal Finance, that's what got me consistently saving. That's what got me this emergency fund that I have now. That's what led me to read I Will Teach You to Be Rich, which had me really make a plan for my money. Do I follow the plan? Not yet, but I have a plan. And that's half the battle. It's some of the battle. Have y'all noticed I've been posting twice a week, like really consistently? I feel really proud of myself. But the reason I keep doing that is because of you commenting, you telling me these tips that I would have never known about YNAB, you giving me suggestions, you giving me your feedback. I really appreciate it. So if that's you, thank you so much. It really does mean a lot to me. I've heard YouTubers say that before, and I don't know if I believe them or not, but like when you're in the position, it really is true. Like right now I have 953 subscribers, still trying to get that 1K, and like 950 plus people have clicked subscribe on my channel. That's huge. What keeps me filming, what keeps me posting is the community here. And I just want to say that I appreciate you guys. I really do. Because of your support, because of your engagement, I keep filming, I keep posting, and that's what's kept me where I'm at, and that's what's gotten me to where I am. That's what's keeping me making more good financial decisions than bad. Because I can promise you, if I never did 75 Hard Personal Finance, if I had not been posting consistently since October, there's no way that I would be where I'm at right now. I would not have been able to say this isn't right as far as temping goes and I gotta quit and I gotta do something else. I wouldn't have been able to go on the interviews that I went on. I wouldn't have been able to take this week off. And I might be like, I don't know, like working for a doctor who didn't wear gloves or something. Wouldn't that be crazy? I'll see you guys Friday.